Welcome to the Dice Gods, my name is Hydra, and today we're going to take a look at one of the starter forces for Flames of War version 4 from Battlefront. This is actually the first video which will have two versions available. There will be the standard version for everybody on YouTube land, and also a specially extended version with some more information and some ways of expanding this and ideas of list building, which will be available to our Patreons and also to channel members here on YouTube. This is a big thank you to you guys who are helping us grow and helping us develop as a channel. So if you'd like to get involved in that and see the full version of this video and also see videos that will be exclusive and early released, then please hit the join button below this video. We talked a while ago about starting the game, but I wanted to spend a bit more time looking at the starter sets and answering some of the questions we see a lot of newbies ask. Specifically, do I need to add any more miniatures to make a viable list from this box? Are the starter forces actually any good? Are they good value? What else will I need aside from the box to play the game? And for our channel members and Patreons, what to buy next after you've got this box? To answer these questions, I selflessly picked up a German heavy tank hunter Kampfgruppe for late war from Battlefront. We'll start by unboxing that fun stuff and then work our way through to the answers. First, it's worth noting that each starter box is released to pair with the release of a new faction book. The starter box will be based around a specific formation from within that book. In this instance, the starter force is for the Bulge German book, which was released a little while back now. If you're not familiar, a formation defines what your list can and cannot contain to a greater extent, and it's central to your success or failure in the game. As each of these starter boxes is tailored to a specific formation in the book that they're for, it means you can field and play pretty much straight away. Just build, get on the table. For this box, you can make the core of a Jagdpanther tank hunter company, an expensive but rather unpleasant formation. We'll come back to that a little bit more after you've seen the pretty stuff. So, let's crack open some minis. And there it is, guys, the starter set for Bulge German, the heavy tank hunter Kampfgruppe. The first thing to note about these lovely boxes, as you can see on the back here, you don't just get the miniatures, you get a little rulebook, which we'll see in a minute, a start here booklet, which is really useful, we'll run through that one too, decal sheets and unit cards. So the unit cards are a replication of the stats and points and information that you need to run these units. They are specific to specific formations because stats, soft stats, so how easy something is to hit, how likely it is to run away, does change between different formations. So these are specific to the Jagdpanther formation that this box is for. Just bear that one in mind. The other thing to note about these lovely boxes is that when they pack them, I think they bend space and time, because it's actually impossible when you've opened these and taken anything out to get them back in. So if you're planning to store anything in these boxes, it's not happening. It's not happening. There you go, first view, all of the good stuff. Put the protection out of the way, all of the things. This is all of the stuff. Pop this out of the way and we'll lay out what we've actually got here. Okay. Some of the infantry and crew. Some more crew. Bases. This is where it starts getting complicated. You need to be careful. There are our infantry. These are our Panzer Grenadiers. I'm going to chicken out now and do the books, so that's easier. So we have a little bag of books. Let's pop this one open. This is, I'm going to make it look like rocket science. This is the small but fully formed rulebook, everything you need to know to play Flames of War version 4. I think there is a bigger version out there that you can buy to learn the rules, but I've never seen anyone with it. This guy does the job perfectly. Here we also have complete ability to work bags. We have some decals, and then we have the unit cards and formation card information. These are in theory really useful because they show you the formations which are available inside of a specific book. I used the book, so that's just me. But here we have the actual unit cards, which are a replication of the stats which are in the book. Pop those out, be careful with our decals for a moment. So, new card sound. So, there you go. All of the stats that you need to know, but we're afraid to ask, for the specific recommended build for this book. And on the back we have any special rules and the points for them as well. Just gotta make sure I'm in camera. Right, so that's that. That's our paperwork, or the start of our paperwork. So I'm gonna put these decals back in the bag because I have prior with getting them wet. The generic decals are for most of the vehicles. This one here are for the half tracks. So you've got the registration numbers and stuff like that. This is mostly for the half tracks. But the rest, yeah, for your vehicles. Next piece of paperwork for newbie, start here. Do what it says in the book, definitely. What this has is where you can go next, which is all well and good. But building guides for the various vehicles and such that are in here, with a little bit of background information. You can see, for example, with the Ostwind, it's the biggest document in the world. We're going to do this way. So with the Ostwind, you can also make it as the Wirbelwind as well. So you have build options. The same is true with the Puma, that has different build options. You have different build options with the half track too. And the Jag Panther can actually be made as a normal Panther as well. So with the Pumas, interestingly, with the Pumas and with the Ostwind Wirbelwind, if memory serves, you can make both of these options, and then you can just change the turret as to which is which. But with the Panthers, because they require a completely different hull, you can make one or the other. And the same will be true with the Hornets and the Hummel, because they're actually based off the same kit as well. You can make one or the other, not both, I would imagine. But we'll check that one as we go through. Okay, and some lovely artwork, because, you know, Battlefront is spoiling us, as ever. So, that's all the paperwork done, that's all of it. This is really useful, don't throw this away, keep hold of this, especially if you're a newbie, you're going to need it for building. Now let's get into the plastic crack. There is so much. So first, we have the first part of, just take these guys out of the way. The first part of the Panthers. And we'll talk a little bit more about the infantry in a minute, because that is one thing. We've got a video on it, but that is one thing that can be a bit confusing for newbies. So what we have here are the hulls for the Panthers. You have a Jag Panther and a standard Panther, the various different options and different types. A lot of these parts are the same, but the hulls are different. So yeah, just be aware of that one. The Panthers also come in two parts. This is the other part of that set. These are the tracks and the guns, the machine guns, whether they've got Zimmerit on or not. You have those different options. I think these go for different vehicles as well, but I can't remember. I've built enough, I should remember. I don't. I think actually they're only the Panthers, I think so that. But yeah, One set of two will make you either your Jagdpanthers or your late war Panthers. Have these got the modifications for? Yes, they do. If you're wondering what these guys here are, in the next book, which is Berlin German, these are the infrared night equipment that the Germans were using at that point. So that's what those are for. Yeah, the stowage, the tracks and stuff, you have options of things you can do with these, and it's entirely up to you. There's no definitive right and wrong with them. But if you build to what's in the Start Here guide, then you'll be absolutely fine. It doesn't tell you which optional bits and pieces to stick on. So with like the Berlin German, you don't get told which of the IR to stick on and things like that. But follow this, and these will go together a treat. A nice hard plastic. Let's get those out of the way. So those are your Jagdpanthers. Congratulations, good choice. Though your opponent won't agree. Oh, and here we go. I have made too many of these. These are Panzer IVs. So as with the Panthers, we have a degree of options on here. With the Panzer IV, it is more down to whether the Scherzen is damaged or not, or completely removed, and whether you stick on, or how much spare track you stick on. These again, these are really lovely kits. I've made so many of these, it's ridiculous. You'll see as well, with the cupolas, see if I can get this right in the screen here, you'll always have an open one and a closed one. In any platoon, you will need one command tank, one lead tank. The easiest way to denote that is have your lead tank have the open cupola, and then all the other ones have closed. It's just a really easy way of keeping track. And then you have crew. Put this one open. Where are you? No, not in that set. You have crew that you can then stick in, commanders that you can stick at the top of those vehicles. Let's keep going. So that's Panzer IVs. There's 3 of those. 3 Panthers, 3 Panzer IVs. Now we are on to the 4 SDKFZ 251s. You have some options with these as well. There are the option to take a gun. This is a free upgrade that you can put on. I don't tend to. I tend to stick with the machine guns. So you have lots of machine gun options down here. MG34 and MG42, if memory serves. I'm going to get corrected like hell on that one. So you have the option to do this gun if you want it, to give them a little bit of anti-light armor. But I prefer to have the machine guns. I'm going to use a lot of my half tracks to assault infantry, charge up to them and machine gun the heck out of them. So more machine guns is better than one pop at a piece of light armor, in my opinion. The 251s, yay! Next on the block, yes, here we go. So these bad boys. That's part of it. That's the other part of it. Oh my goodness me. Problem is, they are colour coded. They're also the same plastic colour, so it's hard to tell the difference. What you're looking at here are the Ostwind and the Wirbelwind sprues. You get one, I think these are mid-war Panzer IVs. So these self-propelled anti-air vehicles are based on the early Panzer IV chassis. So what you have here is a standard Panzer IV. You can make these as Panzer IVs. You have all the various gun options for the early mid-war Panzer IVs, and then you just stick a different turret on top. And yeah, you can make both the Ostwind and the Wirbelwind out of these sets, and then just split and change the turret as you see fit. Even making an early or mid-war Panzer IV if you want as well. So these are really great kits actually. I really rate these because you have the ability to switch and change between the different types. I think that's a really nice touch and really appreciate it. Battlefront didn't have to do that, because to make that possible, you're either magnetizing or a lot of people use these pegs, which hold the turret in place. They could have just given us one, but we have 3, so you can make all 3 turret options and choose which one you want to play. I like that, it's a nice touch. So there is the Osprey and the Whirlwind. Next up, Puma. So there are our 2 Pumas. These again have various options. 2 centimeters, we have a pack 40 over here. They have different types. For the start off, just make the standard version that it recommends in the getting started guide. It will make your life a lot easier. You can make the 2 centimeter and the Puma turret. I'd recommend doing that because the 2 centimeter is really useful. It's really cheap, but you can't make the other gun options because they change the chassis. So it's these turreted ones, I definitely make both. And again, we have 2 pins, so you can make both without a problem. Really nice touch. And finally, my goodness, finally, yeah, this is the Hornice / Hummel kit. So again, there are 2 ways to build this. You can build it as the effective anti-tank self-propelled gun that is the Hornice, or the artillery, which is the Hummel. Because it changes the chassis slightly, I imagine you can't swap and change these. I imagine you build one or the other, and then you can't chop and change them around because of the way they go together. But these are lovely kits. I've not actually built these ones yet, and I'm really looking forward to it. But again, they're just really nice kits. They're nicely detailed. It's the stuff that Battlefront does. So that is the absolute mound of plastic that you get with this starter kit, and this is pretty much standard for a Battlefront starter kit. There we go. That's all of that. That's great. With regards to the infantry, which I'll cover briefly before I put those in the front as well. See, you get 2 of these sprues with the different layouts of infantry on. You can find how to put them together in the Bulge book. I think they're also in here as well. Look, I can't imagine they've left that little detail out, because it is one that confuses the newbies. It did confuse me. What goes where and with who. Ah, there we go. Yeah, so you do have the discussion here. Whoop, let's get that right. Right on that. So you have the discussion about what goes on what. Essentially, you don't, for most German infantry, you don't have a machine gun per stand. You have it on most stands or every other stand, but it varies. So you've got, like, there's a machine gun, MG42, I think. More corrections incoming. There's another one. There's another one. There's not enough to stick 1 per base. And the same with the Panzerschrecks. They're not enough for 1 per base, I think. So you have to choose. Sorry, there's your HMGs. They're there and there. And your Shreks. Yeah. No, Panzerfaust, aren't they? The Shrek's the big one. Panzerfaust. Panzerschrecks. You also, with the infantry and this special little pouch of awesomeness, get these, which are for the commander stands and also for the Shreks, for the Panzerschrecks. So you'll have a Panzerschreck team that you can make, which is this guy and this guy, and then those are for your formation command and your platoon command. And there we go. There's the tank crew. I think we have 2. We've got 2 of those. 2 tank crew sprues, identical. And then we have the crews for the half tracks as well. You can have you've got a driver in there who has to. That driver has to go in while you're building. Don't try and put him after the event. You end up with very drunk drivers. It's possible, but yeah, it's better to do it while you're building it. And then crew to sit in the back, and commander and gunner. So yeah, that is all of the good stuff that comes in a starter set. This crew, by the way, is for the Hornies and the Hummels. So that's your artillery crew and your self-propelled gun crews. So that's those. Yeah, all of that. That's everything. That is a formation. And there we go. Right, let's go back into the video and get into some more detail on how these starter forces stack off. That's enough of the toys, let's get into the meat of this. As I mentioned in the unboxing, some of the units can be built in different ways than the box recommends. The Jagdpanthers can be made into late war Panthers, the Hummels as Hornises, the Pumas as all sorts of stuff, and the Ostwind as all of the other AA options. But as a newbie, don't do this. If this is your first box for Flames of War, do as the Start Here booklet tells you and make the stuff in the box. This will give you a 94-point list as detailed in the Bulge book, although interestingly the book states that it's a 97-point list, which is actually wrong. Even the points on the page in the book add up to 94, but hey, we all make mistakes. That said, it is a pretty good starting point, as most Flames of War games are around 100 to 110 points. Now, to get to 100 points, the book recommends you add in some cards, as you see on page 103 of the book. These are taken from a deck of cards called command cards, which are released at the same time as the book. These can be used to add theme or flavour of specific units or formations which fought in a battle or theatre. However, these can be really hard to track down even as soon as 6 months after the first release. You can get them digitally from Battlefront's Army Builder, however that's a longer conversation, but just bear in mind that it can be tricky to get hold of these command cards if you're buying an older starter box. The fact that these boxes will get you to around the 100-point mark without an issue is one of their strongest points. You'll often find that adding in upgrades to some of the units, anti-tank weapons to the infantry for example, can do the same job as the command cards just as well. With this one, however, you'll likely need to add in another unit to get over the 100 points, just because they got their maths wrong. Now, are the starter forces any good? The straight answer is yes, but it does vary. So one thing you'll want in any list for Flames of War is a mixture of infantry and heavy hitters. Heavy hitters frequently come in the form of armour and tanks and things like that. This box has all of that, and the infantry is mobile in half tracks. Amazing. That makes them go quickly around the board, which is great news when you need to capture objectives. But you also want a resilient formation. So I mentioned earlier that this box makes a Jagdpanther Tank Hunter company from the Bulge German book. What does that mean? Any army in Flames of War has to be based on a formation from a book. There are many to choose from. From the formation that you choose, you will need to take one of each of the black box options, and then you can add in one of the options from each of the grey boxes. This can be supplemented with units not in the main formation called support units. It's more complex than that, but that's the basics. The challenge is that when enough of your units have been destroyed from your formation runs away, and if you have no formations left on the board, you lose. So having a resilient, reliable core formation is crucial to the success or failure in the game. Your formation needs to be pretty tough, and that's where these starter boxes can suffer slightly. If we look at this box, for example, we have one Jagdpanther in the HQ, 2 as the first Jagdpanther platoon, then 2 Hornies as the last black compulsory selection, and 2 Ostwind in the grey support boxes. Everything else in the box is not part of the core formation and is support. The problem there is that each of these choices taken from the black and grey box of the core formation are minimum size, where you can take up to 4 Hornies or up to 4 Jagdpanthers in the platoons. We only have 2. And even the Ostwind, which can have up to 4 vehicles in its platoon, only has 2. That means that your core formation consists of 7 pieces of armour total. 4 of those, the Hornies and Ostwind, are pretty squishy, so when those are gone, you start to be at real risk of your army running away. Thankfully, this box also has the infantry, Panzer IVs and Pumas, so you don't need to use your formation in the front line quite so heavily. But I would have preferred to see a slightly tougher formation with not minimum sized units in the core formation. Switching out the Hornies for Panzer 470s or Stugs, for example, would make that whole formation much more durable and much more reliable. But that's a preference. This list is, as is, perfectly usable and shouldn't be easily smushed as long as you don't get too excited and charge up the board, which is, in my experience, the case with most of these starter boxes. They're great. You'll also see that the units in this box can be used in the newer Berlin German book and the older Bagration book, though you'll struggle to make a viable formation with just this box in those books. So these starter sets come in at €100 RRP, though you can get them cheaper online and at your FLGS. So how do they stack up financially? Well, we'll need to do a bit of maths for that, so bear with me. The units in the starter box are all available as individual plastic kits from Battlefront. These are all different kinds of kits, and some, like the Hornets and Hummel, are made from the same plastic kit. So these boxes contain a certain number of miniatures, as you see, and the starter box contains some complete boxes, other part boxes, as you see here. If we add up the total of each box and modify for the part boxes and the odd extra unit, you'll see that buying all of the minis in the starter box as separate boxes would cost you around €184 RRP. So buying the starter force saves you over €84, or about 46%. This is overall an epic deal, especially as you get the rulebook in there too. I have to say that I often buy the starter boxes when they come out, just as it is so much more cost effective than buying the separate mini boxes. And that's why I now have all of the Panthers and Panzer IVs and Stugs and infantry, and look, it's cheaper, okay? Just don't judge me. Now the last question is, what else you need to play? Well, you'll need a tape measure. Inches or centimetres are fine, Flames of War works with either. A table to play on, an opponent, and some markers with dice. For the latter, the gaming sets from Battlefront are a good buy, coming with some high quality tokens, dice and objective markers, which are a must have for Flames of War. Investing in one of these sets will make your games a lot easier and more organised. Really can't recommend them enough. You'll also be best off buying the book which the starter set comes from. This comes with all the formations, unit information, special rules, and the suggested build for the formation in the starter set, as well as history, info on how to base infantry, painting guides including which paints to use, and missions from the theatre the book is covering. If you're a newbie, it'll really help you get into the setting, and when coupled with the mini rulebook in the starter set, will give you all the information you need to play Flames of War. As I mentioned, you could buy the command cards to add some variety, but to be honest, this isn't a big thing for newer players, and they can really suck to get hold of. If you want ideas on what to buy next to expand the starter set, then you should consider our channel membership. For less than the price of a fancy coffee, you can get access to expanded videos, exclusive videos, a preview of the videos coming out in the month ahead, and lots more besides. For February, the expanded video is this one. We talk about what to buy next for the starter set and some ideas of different formations you can work with just by adding a few boxes here and there. Just hit the join button below this video to get started. Overall, these starter sets are an easy, accessible and cost-effective way to get into Flames of War version 4. If you're keen to get into the game, then find a set which matches with a book, buy them both and you're off. If you're a veteran in the game, well then we both know you buy these because they're a cheap way to get new toys. And that's it. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and as ever, let us know what you think in the comments below. If you're a veteran, let us know your favourite starter force or which one you just hated. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share and maybe consider becoming a member of the channel to access our Discord and to get early access to videos along with a lot of other great stuff. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you again soon.